Cheers, everybody. Back for another episode of Smarty Pints. Graham and Alex here.
Howdy.
Brew and Grow, Rockford, Illinois is where we're shooting at. And today we are going to do a special tidbit on things you can do to improve your brew. Things to do to improve your brew. Yeah, that's got a nice rhyme to it. So, first thing I want to go over, it's very simple. I'm going to go over just a couple things. Bottling bucket. On the Homebrew Network, a popular thing that came up within the last few months is how to get as much beer as possible out of your bottling bucket. And Mike Stauffer was I think he was the first one, but he's the one that informed me about it at least. Get an elbow. All you gotta do, if you want to zoom in on this is an elbow that I just picked up at Lowe's. It's a 3/4 inch ID fitting. And it is threaded on one end, but it's not threaded on the other. I picked it up, it was $1 or $2, I can't remember. And all you gotta do is just put it on the fitting on the inside of your bottling bucket. It fits perfectly. So I'll have her zoom in when I'm done, but it just simply screws right on. And there it is.
So by putting that on there, what does that do for him?
Well, what we found out is that, let's say you do a 5-gallon batch. Every home brewer knows that if you do a 5-gallon batch in bottling, you're going to probably wind up with about 48 bottles.
Yeah, 5 gallons equates to exactly 53 12-ounce bottles, but that's hardly ever the case. You're always going to lose a little bit here and there.
Yep, you're going to undershoot on bottling, but if you put this elbow in your bucket, and what Mike told me to do is, you don't have to really tilt the bucket, but what I've been doing is I take like an oven mitt or a little towel, and I just stick it under the back end, so it just tilts it up just a little bit, and it gives it that much of an oomph, where all I'm left with is less than half a bottle of beer in the bucket. So I wind up with, when I do a 5-gallon batch, I get anywhere between 50 to 52 bottles of beer. And that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's great.
So you're not wasting you're wasting very minimal amount of beer. So that's tip number 1 for the bottling bucket. Thank you, Mike Stauffer and the Homebrew Network, for showing me that. If you have any other questions about that, you can let us know, or you can go to the Homebrew Network and post that there.
Actually, before we get away from that, why wouldn't you not have the elbow in there? Have the bottling bucket flat, fill all your bottles, and then whatever's left on the bottom, why not just lift up the bucket and pour it through a funnel or something into your bottles?
So then you're going to oxidate your beer. You're going to be, basically, it's a good idea in your head. You're immediately thinking, oh, I can just pour that right into my bottle, and I'm going to have that beer.
Yeah, don't let it go to waste.
Don't go, yeah. But then by the time you let it get done conditioning after the 3 to 4 weeks, you're going to open that puppy up and you're going to taste cardboard. It's going to have
wet paper.
Yeah, it's going to have a different color to it because you just introduced oxygen into beer that was ready to be, it was already done. It didn't need any more oxygen to it. So it's a good idea.
Yeah, what I would do is I would just, whatever's left over, pour it into a pint glass and drink it.
There's actually another thing that you can do. I found it on the Homebrew Talk. Revy posted a tidbit on if you don't want to do the elbow, you can do a homemade elbow. He made his out of a racking cane, plastic racking cane, and something else. But if you Google Homebrew Talk, Revy, pickup tube, bottling bucket, you'll find it, no problem. Or you can also find him on the Homebrew Network. He's on there as well. So, from the bottling bucket, we're going to go to your mash tun. For all you guys that still use the coolers, this is perfect for you. Couple things on this. A little homage to Gash Slug, who has a video on this. What I did was I took baking ware and basically made a gasket out of it. As you can see here, I kind of sacrificed my wife's muffin, silicone muffin pan, and with her permission, she said that was fine. So it was out of shape and whatever, so I just took it and used it. So I used one here, and if you can do a close-up, Julie, you'll see that I've got a washer and then the fitting, and with those two combined, you got the gasket there, and then on the inside, I'm going to flip it over. If you could zoom in, I don't know if you can see that, but there's another gasket on the inside as well. And on the other side of that gasket, I have a coupling, and that creates a nice seal. So you don't have to mess around with O-rings or anything. It's so if you've got some baking ware that's falling apart that you want to do the same thing that I just did, it works great. Another thing is some people, if you don't have a false bottom, pick up one of these guys, Alex.
Yeah. So just a braided stainless steel tubing. You can find that in the plumbing section of your hardware store. It usually has a little rubber tube on the inside of it. Pull that tube out, and you're left with a really good way to filter it.
You're going to have to yank pretty hard to get that tube out. I don't even remember what I did. I think I had 2 pairs of pliers, and I just pulled real hard on one end, and off it came. I took off the 2 fittings, I crimped one end, and just used a hose clamp and put it on a barb, and screws right into my coupling.
Yes, that basically makes a ready-to-go torpedo screen.
And they work great, they really do. But you want to be careful, because if you do a bunch of batches with a lot of, big batches I should say, the screens will get worn out after a while. And you just want to keep an eye on that. Some people have said that their screens get all pushed down and you get a stuck sparge. Sometimes they just get worn out and the grains start coming through. But I've used this 3 times now in this cooler, and it's worked out very well.
What kind of efficiencies are you getting out of that?
I'm hitting about 77 to 78%.
Okay, awesome. Personally, if I were designing something like that, I don't want to throw you under the bus here or anything, Graham, but the more surface area you can have on that, the better. What worries me about a design like this, which is good, you're getting such good efficiencies, but he just basically has it going straight down in the center of his mash tun. So what happens is all the liquid, as you're recirculating, vorloffing your mash, or even sparging, it's going to follow the path of least resistance. So as it gets down to the bottom, it's going to make a V, all that liquid heading towards that point where it's draining from. So you might end up with these pockets on the sides and the bottom of grain that aren't really getting as much contact with the liquid as possible. So what you can do is maybe make a circle and attach both ends to a T on the other side of that ball valve. Or if you do just want to do a straight thing kind of like this, maybe part way through the mash, get in there with a paddle and stir it up really well so that everything gets good contact.
What he said about the formation of a ring on the bottom, there are longer braids that you can buy. And all you'd have to do is just get a T fitting on the inside, and then get 2 barbs and hook them on.
Just attach them.
It's really not that difficult.
Yeah, but Graham's getting great efficiency out of that. You know, shoot, anything above 70 in my book is good. So yeah.
That's it. That's the tidbits for the day. And if you have any questions, let me know. If you have any feedback, if I did something wrong, and you have some comments about that, I want to hear it. So let me know.
Or if you have gadgets at home on your home brewery that you want us to talk about, or even enlighten us about, maybe something we don't even know about.
We love knowledge and wisdom, and we want you to share it with us.
And we want to share ours with you.
Cheers, everybody.
Okay, bye.